Bounty hunters are one of the most interesting groups of individuals in all of Star Wars. They scour the galaxy in their ships, looking for profitable targets, dealing with shady clients, and going to exotic and distant planets. It's not an easy life, but those quick with a blaster and with a killer instinct could make a living. Most bounty hunters belong to the Bounty Hunters Guild, an organization that regulated the profession and demanded its members to follow the Bounty Hunter Code. During the Imperial era, they would find targets on behalf of the Empire as peacekeeping efforts. The Empire Strikes Back featured the first major appearance of bounty hunters. Well, aside from that one guy who definitely didn't shoot first.
Monkey.
Screw you, Greedo, we're here to talk about actual bounty hunters. Well, it's a short scene in Episode 5. Even then, these 6 characters stood out. The reaction of the Imperial Guards to their presence, and the bounty hunters' striking appearances made them memorable. Because Darth Vader placed his trust in them, the audience realized that they were also extremely dangerous. However, with the exception of Boba Fett, these characters mostly stayed in the background of the movies, but that doesn't mean their backstories haven't been widely expanded upon since. Today, we're taking a look at the canon stories of the original 6 bounty hunters. Bossk. With the full name of Bossk Wasak Kradosk, which was commonly shortened, Bossk was a member of the Trandoshan species. These large, bipedal reptilian humanoids from the planet Trandosha were renowned as great hunters. Trandoshans relished the thrill of a hunt, and were known to embark on a hunting-related rite of passage. Like some lizards we have on Earth, they were also capable of regenerating lost limbs, quite handy in a galaxy with monks that carry around laser swords. Bossk developed a fearsome reputation as an effective hunter of Wookiees, a species that the Trandoshans shared a mutual hatred with. Both inhabited the same system and frequently came to blows with one another. As such, Bossk grew a particular distaste for fellow bounty hunter Black Chrysanthemum, and of course Chewbacca and Han Solo. Bosk's weapon of choice was a Relby V10 micro-grenade launcher, a weapon that matched his direct and destructive style. He was also known to use Dioxis grenades, as well as proximity mines. Bossk wore a simple yellow pressurized suit and a white flak vest in favor of armor. Behind the scenes, this was actually a reused costume from Doctor Who. Bosk's starship was a Z-95 AF-4 headhunter named Nashta Pup. During the Clone Wars, Bossk worked alongside fellow hunters Aurra Sing and Castus to mentor the orphaned Boba Fett after his father's death in the Geonosis arena. After a stint in a Galactic Republic prison, Bossk worked in Krait's Claw, Boba Fett's new syndicate of bounty hunters, taking jobs for various clients. He even worked with Asajj Ventress, helping her to rescue Quinlan Vos from Count Dooku's palace on Sereno. After the rise of the Empire, Bossk continued to be one of the biggest names in the bounty hunting business, despite eventually drifting apart from Fett and working mostly solo. The two actually came to blows during the War of the Bounty Hunters comic run, in which Bossk and several others attempted to steal the frozen in carbonite Han Solo. Boba even severed both of Bosk's legs. The Trandoshan can even be seen in the background of a few shots in Return of the Jedi, at Jabba's palace and aboard the sail barge. Though he did survive its destruction, Bossk was still alive and active as a bounty hunter during the reign of the New Republic as a part of Tonga's crew. DANGAR. A human from the planet Corellia, Han Solo's homeworld, DANGAR once served as a gladiator and swoop bike racer. DANGAR was known to enjoy flirting with women and thought very highly of himself and his skills. DANGAR wore plated battle armor and a turban to cover his head during his missions, a uniform that became very battered by the time he was summoned to Darth Vader's Super Star Destroyer in The Empire Strikes Back. His preferred choice of weapon during the time of the Galactic Civil War was a DLT-19 heavy blaster rifle, which was supplemented by the use of mini grenades. He also equipped himself with smoke grenades, as well as a fire blade for close quarters engagements. DANGAR owned a modified Jumpmaster 5000 called the Punishing One. the ship had no holding cell due to the fact that DANGAR usually only took in dead bounties. Like Bosk, DANGAR was known to be as active as early as the Clone Wars as part of Crate's Claw. During this era, DANGAR also took jobs for clients such as the Grand Hutt Council, fighting against Maul and his Shadow Collective on Nal Hutta. Though DANGAR was unsuccessful in capturing Han Solo in The Empire Strikes Back, he was also later present with Bosk and Boba Fett at Jabba's palace. DANGAR's impressive longevity led him to continue his work as a bounty hunter even after the Empire was defeated, teaming up with other tenured hunters such as Embo when he joined Jasamari and her crew after the Battle of Jakku. IG88. This droid's story is a lot darker than you may have realized. We actually covered it extensively in a dedicated video over a year ago, but here's the condensed version. The IG88 droid seen in The Empire Strikes Back was technically called IG88B, as there were 4 identical IG88 units with the names A through D created by Holowan Laboratories shortly after the Clone Wars. After realizing their skill and desire to kill, the moment they were first activated, the 4 IG units turned on their creators, killing everyone in the laboratory. Led by IG88A, the droids began a revolution with an end goal of wiping out all organics in the galaxy. IG88A even managed to take control of the second Death Star and was preparing to send a message out to summon a large army of droids, right before the battle station was destroyed. Meanwhile, IG88B, who we'll again refer to as just IG88, served as a war droid for a time before electing to take on a career in bounty hunting. It was a logical fit, as it gave the droid a chance to murder more organics and earn credits doing so, all the while distracting from IG88A's plan to overthrow all organic life. From that moment on, he became one of the most feared bounty hunters in the galaxy, in part due to the lingering fear of droids from the Clone Wars, particularly those capable of battle and assassination, gaining notoriety comparable only to that of Boba Fett, his chief rival. IG88 actually followed Boba Fett to Cloud City, where he was temporarily destroyed, his body seen in the Ugnaughts junk room. Sometime later, IG88 was hired by Sly Moore to kill Darth Vader himself, a fight which the Sith Lord won convincingly by taking control of the droid. IG88 continued to take bounties for organizations like Crimson Dawn, and was known to still be around after the Battle of Takodana in The Force Awakens, working for Bazine Nettle and hunting for the Millennium Falcon. IG88 carried an arsenal of weapons, including a modified DLT-28 blaster rifle, a modified E11 blaster rifle, pulse cannons, a DAS-430 neural inhibitor, and a needle dart gun that launched poison darts. The assassin droid also equipped himself with a vibro cleaver. However, his most dangerous weapons were hidden inside his slender frame, including a flamethrower, a sonic device, and toxic gas dispensers. Adding to this, his head, torso, and limbs could rotate 360 degrees, meaning IG88 was almost impossible to ambush. IG88 owned a modified aggressor-class assault fighter called the IG-2000. Behind the scenes, IG-88's head was a recycled prop from the Mos Eisley Cantina in A New Hope. Forom and Zakus. We'll cover these two together because they usually worked as partners. Beginning with Forlom, an ambitious LOM series protocol droid who was assigned to a luxury liner, but logic glitches and personality software corruption allowed him to override his programming. Forlom then became a galactic thief and later, you guessed it, a bounty hunter. Like DANGAR, Forlom utilized a DLT-19 heavy blaster rifle that was capable of firing electromagnetic pulses as well as standard blaster bolts. The droid's chassis further housed an integrated stun gas emitter effective against organic enemies. Now onto Zakus, who belonged to the insectoid Gand species from the planet of the same name. On the planet Gand, Zakus served as a traditional findsman, a form of tracker. The future bounty hunter was even said to be Force sensitive. After being cast out from his world, Zakus became one of the first to leave Gan's thick and toxic atmosphere and wore a respirator to breathe ammonia while operating in oxygen-rich worlds in the wider galaxy. Zakus wore heavy battle armor under his beige Findsman body cloak and armed himself with a GRS-1 snare rifle and a knife. Although Zakus's uncanny tracking abilities made some uneasy, he and Forom remained a formidable team. The pair of bounty hunters flew aboard the Mist Hunter, a modified G-1A starfighter which Zakus filled with gases to remind him of his home world. Forom and Zakus have been featured in canon much less than the other bounty hunters we've gone over so far, but they did play a big role in the War of the Bounty Hunters comic run. In the Legends timeline, the two actually worked for the Rebel Alliance for a time as they helped Zakus with medical treatment. In 1982, Kenner infamously released action figures of Forom and Zakus, but mixed up their names. Boba Fett. We'll keep this one brief, as Boba Fett is unquestionably the most well-known and heavily featured of the group. You're probably pretty familiar with his story. Boba Fett is the son and technically clone of the legendary Mandalorian bounty hunter Jango Fett, who was known to be the best bounty hunter of his time. Jango Fett was the genetic template for the Republic's clone army, and as payment, he asked for a clone that would age naturally, naming him Boba and treating him as his own son. Jango was killed by Mace Windu in the Geonosis Arena at the start of the Clone Wars. After his father's death, Boba Fett joined a group of bounty hunters intending to seek revenge and kill Windu. But the young Fett's mission of revenge ended with him being imprisoned in Coruscant with Bossk. Eventually, he left prison and created his own bounty hunting syndicate, making a name for himself. During the original trilogy, Boba Fett became the most notorious bounty hunter in the galaxy and worked for the Hutts and the Empire, and was advertised as Jabba's top bounty hunter. After bringing Han Solo to the Hutt, Boba Fett ends up falling into the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi. He of course survived this and re-emerges in Season 2 of The Mandalorian and his own spin-off, The Book of Boba Fett, now serving as the daimyo of Mos Espa. After Jango's death, Boba took possession of Slave 1, a modified Firespray 31 class patrol and attack craft, which was armed with the best-sounding explosive in all of Star Wars, the Seismic Charge. Boba changed the color of his father's blue and gray armor to mostly green, eventually becoming battered and covered in marks from blaster fire. He regularly wore a Z6 jetpack and carried an EE-3 carbine rifle. His vambraces were equipped with a flamethrower, concussion rockets, vibroblades, a whipcord launcher, and a wrist laser. Inside his knee pads were rocket dart launchers, and the shoulders were adorned with braids that Boba displayed as trophies of defeated prey. But which of the original 6 bounty hunters is your favorite? Which hunters should we cover in a future video? Let me know in the comments. Come join us to chat more at our community Discord server, linked in the description. If you enjoyed today's Star Wars video, we've got more on the screen for you right now. Also make sure to drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe to join the Red Squadron. Until next time, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you. Red 5, standing by.